Hey guys, welcome to Revive Rebuild Garage. Today I'm working on this old Garden Master rototiller here. It's got a 5 horsepower Tecumseh on it. It wasn't running when I got it. It wouldn't start, wouldn't run, all this other stuff. So anyways, first thing I did was peel the carburetor off of it and pulled the bowl off the bottom of it, and it was just full of like debris, old gas, like varnishy and stuff like that. So I cleaned that out, and actually when I cleaned that out, I'll show you guys here, pulled everything out of the bottom of that carburetor. And usually I pull everything out, like jets, all that stuff, float, needle, everything, as much as I can get out of the carburetor. And then I clean it out either with carb clean or gasoline or whatever else. And any pilot jets, main jet, stuff like that, I usually put I have a small set of pins. I'll usually run pins through all the holes, make sure they're cleaned out, and then I'll blow them with compressed air afterwards. Spray them down with carb clean, make sure they're all clean before I put it back in. But this one, actually, when I took it apart, I noticed this because I was spraying it with carb cleaner. I could see it come out afterwards, but this one had a brass float in it, which you'll typically find in these Tecumsehs. I've only ever seen the two styles. There's the one with the plastic float and then the brass float. So normally I've never had too many issues with these plastic ones. You can usually just clean them up and reuse them, and nothing usually ever happens to them. I know some guys will say they've seen them deteriorate with all the ethanol and stuff that's in fuel nowadays, which I don't disagree. They probably do. I've just never personally seen it. But anyways, I pulled the carb out of this thing, and it was awful. This thing was like full of rust and just terrible old fuel, and everything had gunk and stuff all over it. And when I cleaned it up, you can actually see there's a hole in it. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. There's a hole in it right here. Just a tiny little hole. So anyways, I noticed it when I was spraying it with carb clean, because there was carb cleaner on it. I'd wipe it, and then it'd come back, I'd wipe it, and it'd come back, and I was like, oh, that's got a hole in it. So generally what I do, if I suspect them, this one I didn't, but if I suspect that they have a hole in them or something like that, usually you can actually see there's still carb cleaner coming out of that. You can see it leaking into that hole. See how it's all wet? Right there. I'll wipe it, it's dry now. It'll come right back again out of that hole. I'll show you when it comes back out. But anyways, dip them in water. Get a little pail of water or something like that, or a bucket of water, and dip your floats in them. And then, like, they should float on top. If there's a hole in them, they'll fill up with water and they'll sink. They should float right on top of the water. So that's how you'll know if there's a hole in them, right? And if there's a hole in them, see, it's coming right back out again. See how it's all wet? That's the carb clean coming out of that hole. You can see it's wet because it's still inside. That's probably some of that's gasoline too, but yeah, like if there's a hole in them, they won't work properly. They'll fill up with fuel in the bowl, and then they'll always be down like that. So then it'll always constantly want to fill your carburetor with fuel, and it'll just overrun. So it'll start, like, it'll be running fuel all over the place because the float's stuck, right? It'll be just pouring right out of your carburetor. So that's a good indication that you have a hole in it. But anyway, sometimes that's your needle stuck too, if there's gunk and whatever in it. But anyways, just a kind of a quick tip on that, because I would have, had I put that back together, that would have been the issue. It would have been leaking fuel all over the place. But anyways, this isn't the carb that's out of it. I got a bunch of these. This is just one I had kicking around the garage, so you guys could see the plastic float that's in this one. But usually I've only ever seen these two, the brass and the plastic, in these Tecumsehs anyways. But all right, so anyways, I have this thing so that it's running now, and I had to just kind of bend this governor tab a little bit because I wasn't getting full throttle out of it. There's kind of a, I got this from a guy for nothing. He was going to throw it out, so I just figured I'd fix it up because there was nothing really too seriously wrong with it. So anyways, but it looks like somebody's messed with this governor spring once upon a time here. So I just had to bend this tab just ever so slightly, and I put a different spring on it so that I could get full throttle out of it because it wasn't quite getting full throttle. It wouldn't hold it anyways. So basically all that's good. The only issue I have now is there is this run stop switch on the side here to be able to shut it off, but it won't actually work. So I'm going to peel this cover off and see what's going on with it, because you can fire it up, but then you can't shut it off. This stop switch doesn't work. So that's not very handy. So anyways, I'm going to peel into that now, tear this cover off. I'm going to tear this recoil cover off and see if I can get at this switch and see if I can either diagnose what's wrong with it or see if I have one kicking around here that I can switch out for that and it'll actually work. And then hopefully that should be all good. You all running and working and everything else. All right, let's get into it. I got this recoil cover off here. And see if I can pop this switch out without taking this whole cover off here. I just don't really want to get into doing all that if I don't have to. Come on, baby. Boy, come on, dude, would you? All right, there we go. Oh, well, there's the issue right there. Guaranteed. Well then. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take this cover off. I'll show you the issue with this switch. As you can see, this thing's got like some heavy mice damage. I think it was sitting for a while, maybe even outside, but like just full of mouse nests and stuff. So anyways, so here it is on this switch. There's the ground wire on this coil. There's the problem right there. Mice chewed right through it, right through the insulation on the wire and everything. So my guess would be it's probably not grounded properly. So I'm gonna replace that that wire, put it back on and see if that hopefully fixes the issue with that switch, because it doesn't work. It runs, but it won't shut off. So I'll take that off there and make a new wire, put it on, and then we'll see what happens. Here's the new wire I made here. All I had was red. I know it should be black, but I think that'll be fine. So I changed that wire out and ended up, I found out this switch is no good. So I tested it a couple of different times in a couple of different ways, and the switch ended up being no good. So I actually had one in my garage, very similar thing off a weed eater, but it works on here, so that'll be a lot better. Here it is anyways. Garden Master Rototiller. She's an old school one. 5 horse Tecumseh on it. I'm working on this. I want to make sure it's pretty decent because I'm going to sell this when I'm all done with it. So I want to make sure somebody's going to have a pretty good machine. I cleaned all the mouse nests and stuff out of it, and I'm going to change the oil in this unit here for the drive for the rototiller. And I still got to do an oil change on the actual engine itself too here. So all right, I'll show you how this works here now since I fixed this. There, you can see that works good now. I got that switch working. Like I said, I just got to put new oil in that drive system, change the engine oil, and this thing should be ready to go down the road. I'm going to give it a once over, obviously, before I sell it to somebody else, because I want to make sure it's good before I do that, because I don't want somebody else cursing me afterwards. But anyways, that's it. So pretty simple fix really on this one. Wasn't too bad. Carburetor, obviously change the oils and stuff. Fix that switch. Fix the spring on the governor for the throttle, and that was basically it. So I don't know. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. Take her easy.